I'm Clack of the Geek here, and welcome to Green Screen Land. That's this place. It's the most magical place on Earth, isn't it? Anyway, today we're going to be doing the Doctor Who 100 episodes tag. Now, this is something that was created like a couple of years ago, and recently it's been sort of like I've seen a lot more people doing it recently, and I was actually tagged by somebody, so that was really cool. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to do this challenge. So the whole thing, what it is picture this scenario. Every Doctor Who episode, including the missing ones, exist. You know, and they're in this building and they're all there, but the building catches fire. I don't know, somebody probably left the plug socket on, and you only have 1 minute to save 100 individual episodes. The ones that you save, you can keep, you can watch them, but the rest are gone forever. Like, you can never watch them again. So, yeah, and there's no, like, hacks around it. It's literally just, you know, the 100 you keep are the only ones you have forever. Yeah, that's what it is. And when I say individual episodes, I mean, say I wanted to save Aliens of London and World War III, even though it's one story, because it's two separate parts, that would comprise 2 of my 100 episodes, if that makes sense. But this is more of sort of like, what episodes would you save? And it's sort of, yeah, that's the challenge of like, what would you have to, what episodes would you have to sacrifice to save the other? It's a very difficult challenge, but I'm going to have a go at it. Now, a good starting point for this is to go through your favourite story from each Doctor and sort of work your way through from there. So that's what I'm going to do. So for the first Doctor, I've gone for the War Machines. I adore this one. It's brilliant. It's the first like modern Earth story. Bit like what you get in the John Pertwee era. Hartnell's fab in it. The War Machines are a cool villain. Sort of cool like themes like technology and stuff. Great introduction to Ben and Polly, and it's just great. And this is a 4-parter, so we're at 4 episodes currently. Then for Troughton, I've gone for his final story, The War Games, which is a 10-parter, so that boosts our episode count to 14. It's the first story of the Time Lords, and they're at their best here. They're so good. Troughton's great. We also have a regeneration story. Great concepts, amazing scope, awesome cast, and it's just a phenomenal story, and the length doesn't put me off whatsoever. It's just a brilliant story, a must-watch. Now for Pertwee, I've gone for The Time Warrior, which is another 4-parter, boosting the episode to 18. This is a great one, you know. It's the first Sontaran story, the first Sarah Jane story, first time Gallifrey is mentioned by name, and it's just a banging good story, you know. Pertwee's great, Sarah Jane's great, the Sontaran's great, the historical setting's really cool, a brilliant side cast, great concepts like the scientists go missing. It's just brilliant. Now for the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker, I've gone for my favourite classic story, Genesis of the Daleks. It's cliche, I know, but I love it. It's just a perfect, you know, Dalek story. Tom Baker's amazing. Davros, it speaks for itself. It's just an all-time classic, and you gotta save it. Also, with it being a 6-parter, that boosts the episode count to 24. For the 5th Doctor, I've gone for Earthshock. My favourite monster's the Cybermen, so I've got to have my favourite Cyberman story. Davison's great. Adric, you know, he unfortunately died in it, he had a companion death, so it's a very notable moment in Who history. And it was one of the first Doctor stories I ever watched, so it has sentimental value, so I'd want to keep it. So that boosts the episode count to 28, because it's a 4-parter. For Colin Baker, the 6th Doctor, I've gone for Revelation of the Daleks. It's a very grim story, but I think it's just brilliant. The Daleks aren't amazing, but Davros is great in it, and Colin's awesome. Great side cast. It's just a brilliant story. Very well directed, very well written. It's just great, and because it's a 2-parter, it bumps the episode count to 30. For the 7th Doctor, I've gone for Remembrance of the Daleks. A bit of a Dalek theme, but this one is just amazing, and it's a good jumping on point for those who haven't seen Classic Who. It's a very fun Dalek action story. McCoy's great, Ace is great, the Daleks for War stuff's amazing, awesome side casts. It's just a really entertaining watch every single time. And with it being a 4-parter, this bumps the episode count to 34. For the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, I've gone for the 1996 TV movie. Now, I find this fairly mediocre myself. It's not an amazing story, but it's mainly here for historical value, and also because it's the only proper Paul McGann story you can have, and you've got to have Paul McGann in there, because he's a great Doctor, so this bumps the episode count up to 35. For the 9th Doctor, Chris Eccleston, I've gone for The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances. I adore this story, you know. Eccleston's brilliant, it's really scary. The Empty Child is a terrifying monster. The Wobble 2 setting's great. first story with Captain Jack in it. It's just brilliant, and it's a two-parter, so it bumps the episode count to 37. For the 10th Doctor, I've got Midnight. It's absolutely terrifying. In my opinion, the scariest Doctor Who story ever. It's just, because you don't see the monster, it makes it all that more terrifying. It's very claustrophobic and atmospheric. The side cast are great. You know, it's all quite relatable, but that's what makes it even more scary when they turn on each other. And Tennant is acting his socks off, so, yeah. For the 11th Doctor, my favourite Doctor, I've got my favourite Doctor Who story ever, Vincent and the Doctor. An absolutely beautiful story, great historical. Vincent van Gogh is amazing, and it's a really good sort of allegory for like depression and, you know, mental health and stuff like that, and like, you know, the invisible monster sort of. It's just a beautiful story. It's absolutely perfect in every way, and it's just, oh man, amazing. And this brings the episode count to 39. For the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, I've got The World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, the Series 10 finale, and oh man, it's amazing. You got obviously the Cybermen, the Mondasian Cybermen, it's sort of their genesis, and part 1 is terrifying, part 2 is just very emotional, action-packed, it's great. You got two Masters, Bill's amazing, Nardole, and Capaldi obviously is amazing. It's just a perfect story, and I have a lot of nostalgia to it, so I wouldn't want to get rid of it. And it's a two-parter, so that boosts the episodes to 41 now. And for the 13th Doctor, I've gone for The Haunting of Illidar Darcy from Series 12. A terrific story, great historical with Mary Shelley and like what inspired Frankenstein. A really clever concept. The Cyberman is amazing. Another Cyberman story, but it's just amazing. Jodie actually gives a really good performance, and I truly believe in this one that she is the Doctor, which boosts the total score, or the total episode count, to 42. The Meaning of Life. Now we're going to talk about episodes with like historical significance. So, first of all, the very first Doctor Who episode, Unearthly Child Part 1. I don't care who you are, you have to save this episode. It's compulsory, basically, because it's the very first Doctor Who episode. It starts it all, speaks for itself. I'm going to throw on here the Daleks episode 2, because it's when you first see the Daleks in full. You know, the most iconic monster, you have to get them. I'm also going to put on here the 10th Planet Part 4, because it's the very first episode with a regeneration of the first Doctor. You know, it's a historic moment in the show. And also Power of the Daleks Part 1, Patrick Troughton's first episode. And you need sort of, you know, the first, like, post-regeneration episode. So that takes our total up to 46. I'm going to put on Terror of the Autons Part 1, because it's the very first episode with a Master in it, the Doctor's arch nemesis. I've also got Logopolis Episode 4, because it's Tom Baker's final episode as the Doctor, and he's, like, the most iconic Doctor, and I do love Logopolis, and I think it would be an important one to put on. At slot number 49, I've got the 5 Doctors, the 20th anniversary special, with all these different Doctors, companions, and monsters coming in for a big celebration of the show. It's a very entertaining watch. And at slot number 50, Survival Part 3, because it was the last ever classic episode. I wish I could have put the whole story on, but I couldn't fit room for it, but I do love the whole story. But yeah, only Part 3. At slot 52, I've got Rose, the first episode of Revival. It brought Doctor Who back into the mainstream, so it's a very important episode for that. At slot number 52, we have The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. An absolutely astounding episode. I just love rewatching it all the time. And it also means we have John Hurt as the War Doctor on here. And at slot 53, we have Fugitive of the Jadoon, mainly because so we can have Joe Martin as the Fugitive Doctor, but also because it's probably the Chibnall era story that I've rewatched the most, as it's very entertaining romp. Now we're going to talk about some stories that I just enjoy, you know, I just want to chuck on. So, we're going to have the Aztecs here because it's a historical, you know, the William Hartnell story. It's great stuff for Barbara, and because the historicals more reflect the Hartnell era accurately, you know, because they were a big part of his era, I put it on, and it's boosted the episode count to 57. Next, I have the Space Museum, just because I enjoy watching it. It's a really fun story. And that's the thing with this list. It may not be the greatest episodes ever, but it's the ones that I enjoy watching over and over again and don't get bored of. Anyway, this boosts the episodes to 61. Next up, we have Tomb of the Cybermen, a Patrick Troughton Cyberman story. You need Troughton and the Cybermen. This one's just great, and it's quite eerie, and a good one to get new viewers into Classic Who, especially the black and white era. Anyway, this takes our total episodes to 65. Next up, I've got Spearhead from Space, John Pertwee's first story, and a great introduction story. Also, great Auton story. And I wanted a unit story, so I figured this would be a good one to put on. And this takes our episode total to 69. Next up, the 3 Doctors, the 10th anniversary special, and this one always puts a smile on my face. It always cheers me up. Troughton and Pertwee play for each other brilliantly. Omega's a fantastic villain, and this boosts that episodes to 73. And yeah, I just love this story. Next, we have The Deadly Assassin, the Tom Baker story, and it's just a great one, you know, exploring Gallifrey. The Master's great, I just love it to bits, and it's just amazing. So that boosts the episodes up to 77. And boosting the episodes to 81 is The Robots of Death, an absolutely spectacular story. I rewatched it recently, so it's fairly fresh in my mind, and I loved it. And I also needed Leela's story, so this is probably her best, I'd say. Coming in at slot 83 is the two-parter Attack of the Cybermen. Not only is it a great Cyberman and Colin Baker story that I always love watching, but it was also the first ever Doctor Who story I watched, so I've got to save it for that reason alone. In slot number 84, we have Dalek. You can check out my review I did recently, but this is amazing. Really shows how scared the Daleks are, and Eccleston is on fine form throughout. And at slot number 85 is Chris Eccleston's last story, Parting of the Ways. Not Bad Wolf, because Part of the Ways where all the action is, but oh my god, this is a perfect piece of television. Eccleston, Billy Piper, John Barrowman, the Daleks, absolutely everything about it is great. The regeneration is also amazing too. I've honestly lost track of how many times I've rewatched this episode. Slot number 86, The Girl in the Fireplace, my favourite story from Series 2, a great Tennant story, and a great mix of historical and fantasy. Slot number 87, The Family of Blood, not Human Nature, I'm going to include in part 2 of this two-parter, but yeah, the best story of Series 3, a great story, The Family of Blood are really creepy, and it's the best story for Martha as a companion. Okay, spot number 88, Voyage of the Damned. I wanted a Russell Davies Christmas special here, and this is just a great one. It's his best. It's a fun romp, Titanic in space. What more do you want, What more do you want from me? Number 89, The Waters of Mars. Oh man, this, it's one of the 2009 specials. It's a classic based on the Siege story. The Flood are really creepy, great side cast, and Tennant's best performance. It's an absolute masterpiece. Slot number 90, The 11th Hour, Matt Smith's first story, and a great introduction to a Doctor. The best one in my opinion. I have so much fun with it, it's great. Next, we have A Christmas Carol, my favourite Christmas special, and you need a Moffat Christmas special because he's got a very different tone. Yeah, this is a very clever script and very heartfelt, and Michael Gambon's great in it, Number 92, The Girl Who Waited, the best story from Series 6 in my opinion, a beautiful story and a great showcase for the 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory TARDIS team. Especially Rory, I've got to say, he gets some great character stuff. These next two stories are both back-to-back episodes, The Bells of St. John and The Rings of Akten from Series 7. I always enjoy rewatching these episodes, and they're just really entertaining watches, very easygoing, and oh my god, I just really enjoy them. So this boosts us up to 94. At slot number 95, we have The Mummy on the Orient Express, the best of Series 8. Amazing Capaldi story. Clara's actually good in this one. The Foretold's a really creepy monster, and it's just an all-round perfect story. And it's a good one to show newcomers to Doctor Who, it's a good one to get them on board, I'd say. At slot number 96, we have Heaven Sent, because it's Heaven Sent. It's an absolute masterpiece. It's totally unique in terms of Doctor Who. Capaldi, on his own, acting his heart out, it's absolutely a masterpiece. And again, it's one that you just have to save. Now, as I'm a massive Series 10 fan, as it was my first series, I have a lot of nostalgia to it, and I often rewatch a lot of the stories. So, I've got a select few that I'd like to pick. So, we've got Smile, because it always puts a smile on my face. I've got Oxygen, because it's a great based on the sea sort of horror story. And Empress of Mars, because you've got the Ice Warriors back, which brings the total up to 99. And at 100, we have Kablam from Series 11, Jodie Whittaker. Even though it's got its flaws, it's one I often rewatch, and it's my favourite from that season. It's just quite an easygoing watch, isn't it? And that's the end of it. All 100 episodes I would save, and my god, that was exhausting, but it was worth it because it was a really fun challenge. So we're calling insight into how Doctor Who fans' mind works and what episodes would you save. Yeah, it's really interesting. In terms of people who I'm going to tag, I'm going to tag everyone, really. You can all do it if you want. But I'm also going to tag specifically the good Dalek. I don't know. I'll just tag him, yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment and click the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And this is Clack of the Geek, signing out.